Um,
Hi, Linda. Can you confirm that you can see us and hear us, please? No confirmation yet. Linda, hello? I have to wait till I get some first confirmation. Let me try to log in. This way. What was that about? F6?
uh, 6 or 7, maybe 7.
F7.
The one screens.
Okay, so we're gonna do duplicate or PC screen only. Let's see.
I don't remember.
Do duplicate. Let's do the PC screen only. Hello, everyone. Can you see us and hear us? Can someone confirm, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Ronald. Okay, Gary, we're good to go.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is Gary Bernhagen, and I'm calling to order the Public Works Board for October 2nd, 2025. Can I have the members go around the room introducing themselves?
I'm Justin Weaver.
Tyler President, Commissioner George Croner.
Has everyone had Gary Bernhagen? Missing is Dave. Has everyone had a chance to review the September minutes? Are they distributed to you directly?
They were today. I noticed that, they weren't up. Linda graciously put them up on the website and sent me directly a copy of the minutes.
Okay, okay.
But normally they are posted.
They are posted, but you should receive them directly as well.
Right, I have.
You have been getting them?
I have
You
not.
have not. Okay, so I'll ensure that.
Yeah.
Do we want to hold off on, accepting them, or is everyone comfortable with moving forward?
We can move forward.
Okay, can I have a motion to, accept the minutes as is?
I take a motion to accept the minutes of this.
Thank you. Second,
A second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Terrific. Ryan, could we get a report from you regarding the, project overall?
Certainly. So
from last month's meeting to this month's meeting, the contractors continued working. They completed the work on Fifth Street previously, and they moved on to Sixth Street. Again, we were dealing with a few delays through DigSafe and some of the lead times on utility markup. So work on Sixth Street progressed and was completed. They're now waiting on Seventh Street. I think that was they're working on Sixth Street. They called a ticket in for Seventh Street, and I think they were pushed back to have it completed by potentially the end of this week. So as long as that happens, they'll be back probably Monday to start work. But I don't know. It's generally the gas company that does the marking, that's usually the longest lead time. And from what I've talked to the contractor today, they're planning to try to just get Seventh Street done all at one time. Usually we're trying to do one or two intersections at a time, but, this one, there's 3 and they're all kind of close. So they're just gonna try to do the 3 or 4 of them right in a row and try to get it done without breaking it up into too many pieces. We also, I sent you yesterday, I think it was yesterday, was their most current payment request.
Yep.
So that includes the work on Sixth Street as well as the intersection of Warren and City Hall Place. So that is there. There's still retainage being held as well as some other pieces. So there's likely gonna be at least one more payment request. I know Justin and I have gone out and looked at a few things to, as a punch list already, we have a few things to talk with the contractor about. The one piece of work that, while working on Sixth Street, there was a situation where National Grid installed a new utility pole. And at a corner of an intersection where we're gonna do a curb ramp, however, there's the existing pole that's yet to be removed, or at the time was yet to be removed. So, talking with the city, Rob Perry, National Grid, they didn't really have a timeline for which that pole would be removed. So talking with the contractor, there were a few options. We could shift the curb ramp further away from the intersection, making it more like a mid-block. But again, it's potentially losing some parking until the poles are removed, then someone will want to move back closer. So at this point, we've instructed the contractor to not complete that piece. So there's gonna be a credit back to the city for that, for not completing that portion of work. It totaled around 5,700 or so.
That's Sixth and,
Sixth and Rose.
And I'm sorry,
Sixth and Roe Valley. Oh, no, Sixth and Prison.
No, it's real.
Who was it? Yeah, Sixth and Roe Valley, yep. So with that, there was a situation where the contractor completed work at another one of the curb ramps at Sixth and Road. And Justin and I, after seeing the work being completed, looking at some of the sidewalk that is next to this new curb ramp, it's very deteriorated. And the concern is, you just put this new curb ramp in and now you're directing people to a very deteriorated section of sidewalk. So we talked to the contractor and they gave a preliminary number, of around $2,800 to rip out about, I think it was 12 or 15 feet of sidewalk and replace it with new sidewalks, bringing it to a decent section. We were looking at this, it didn't seem like there was a great spot to say, this cleans up everything on the road, but at least it picked up a few more feet of sidewalk to try to, bring it better into compliance. So what I started doing was I drafted that, but I've talked with Justin, I wanted to talk to the board, and kind of get a feeling for some of the other things that Justin and I talked about for the contractor. Knowing that there's a credit of around $5,700, one of the things that we talked about previously was where their curb ramps currently exist in the city that maybe need some blacktopping or something like that around the intersection points, the bottom of the curb ramps underneath the street. A number of those need some fresh blacktop around it. So we were talking with a contractor, maybe we could try to work up a way to improve curb ramps somewhat outside of what they already did, so nothing that they've already done. Same areas, so one of them was Fifth and State around the library. A couple of those curb ramps could use to be blacktop. So we were gonna debate on if we spend some of that credit to try to fix some of the other asphalt areas around curb ramps that exist already, to try to bring them into better compliance. So there's kind of a multiple options there, and Justin and I thought that bringing it to the board would be the best way to further discuss it and make some decisions on that. So Otherwise, I think other than that, like I said, they're planning to start work hopefully next week on 7th. So there's a little bit of time to kind of make a decision. It doesn't have to be instantly. The other thing I guess I'll bring up is Justin has been getting a number of phone calls. There's other work going on in the city. And yes, it may be around some of the work that we're doing. There's other contractors doing sidewalk work. There's utility companies doing sidewalk work. So there's other entities that are doing work, but in general, and I think at this point, we have no open areas of sidewalk or areas where there's no sidewalk. And there's asphalt's been installed, so anything else would be part of the contract we're currently working.
Well, it sounds like you guys have been managing it excellent. I have, and I would say, let's discuss this now, and essentially what I'm saying is use the flexibility and judgment that you've been exercising already. Ty, are you aware of what's going on? Are you part of this?
Not their walkthrough,
Should you be?
I can be,
No, should you be?
sure, yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay, I mean, is that fair enough with you guys?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, part of the Public Works Commission. But no, I'm good with just two of you doing it as well. I'm just throwing it out there.
I just have one question, so the 5,700 is a roundabout number, obviously, right?
I have the exact number if you want it.
No, it's okay, I think my question is that, if we were gonna bring these other pieces of sidewalk, some of the blacktop up, I think that's probably a better idea than starting something new,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm
Let's
also in
finish
agreement
what
is,
needs to be finished.
don't do anything on that corner with the pole there right now.
No,
Hold off.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Get the credit and use it elsewhere.
right,
We're in agreement with that. George, you agree?
I agree.
So the one piece that I guess to be clear on, there is a curb ramp that we completed at the or that the contract completed at this intersection. That has sidewalks next to it that are pretty deteriorating. Does the board want to proceed with cleaning up, I think it's 12 to 15 feet of sidewalk?
So it's like two or three squares.
No, yeah. And it makes sense to you guys watching, right?
Yes.
And that was, you said about 2,800.
Yeah, yep.
And then
Everyone agrees, say, hey, yay. Okay, sure, of course.
So then, from that, I'll process, would it be a change order? There's not gonna be additional cost. It's just gonna deduct it from that piece, then add it to this piece. And then, again, going with the idea of doing some asphalt work to kind of use the balance of the project. Is that, the Public Works Board would like to do,
All in agreement? Yeah, yeah.
so I'll process that, and I generally, the mayor would be the one to sign that. I don't think it needs to, because there's no cost changing, there's not usually like a resurrection.
Work change,
Yep,
right?
yeah,
Change order.
yep.
Cool. Good job. So the other question I have is, when Vosper came in, they know they have 5th, 6th, and 7th. Why aren't they putting in all the queries and requests for permits, et cetera, all at once?
So generally, so you have a certain period of time from when they complete the markup to begin work, and then you have to call it again.
Right.
So that ended up happening at City Hall Place. They called it in the same time they called in the tickets for, I wanna say 5th or 6th potentially. And because weather, things like that, they didn't actually get started at Warren and City Hall Place. So they had to call back in again, although that turnaround time was only a few days because nothing had changed. And the mark out was pretty quick. And it's generally the gas company. If you get them on a good timeline and in the city for that type of work, they're quick, but it's just.
Yeah, when you call DigSafe, that they give you a certain amount of time, you have to start construction.
That's the reason.
I did actually see Premier in town again today, so
That would be good.
they're the guys locating the gas. Good. Good.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yep.
Justin, like to give us an update on 88?
Unfortunately, there's been no movement with the DRI wrap up, other than today, arterial. The the overall architecture firm that designed the, whole streetscapes project did just a couple hours ago send me an email asking if any of the punch list items have been addressed by Easy, et cetera. And they were gonna come down tomorrow, if so, and I said, no. As a matter of fact, not a single one has been addressed, and there's been zero communication from them in months. So they have yet to respond to that email, but that's where we're at with that. There's been no movement yet, so I don't wanna drone on about things that I've said in previous meetings. That's where we are with that. Just to piggyback off of what Ryan was saying, I did go out this morning to look at the work at City Hall Place in Warren. That is done, and I don't know if everybody's aware. So, in front of the Opera House, there's that diagonal crosswalk. That diagonal crosswalk has been there all these years with no curb ramps. So it doesn't make sense why there would be a crosswalk painted across the road, never having curb ramps to access that crosswalk. So now what we've done there is we've created 2 curb ramps, not in front of the Opera House, but on the other corner in front of the old Kamea restaurant. So there's a curb ramp that goes directly across the street, and we created a curb ramp on the opposite side of the street. So now that invalidates the diagonal crosswalk. So the plan is to eventually blacken out that diagonal crosswalk and paint a new crosswalk where we've just installed the new curb ramps, if all that makes sense.
Yep.
I spoke to Rob. Rob will take care of that, but he's out of the product to do that. And he said he will take care of that first thing next year, which really isn't a problem because people can still use that diagonal crosswalk as they always have. But now we have something extra for people in wheelchairs. We have those crosswalks for them to actually properly get across the street. So that'll be like that until the diagonal one is painted over, the new one is painted.
Now, he is covering the cost of that,
The city will, yeah, DPW.
versus out of the budget that the SID.
That is my understanding. That's within their scope. Yep.
No, well, okay, fair enough, but if we were to cover for the cost of the blackout, could we help get this accomplished sooner than next year?
I think that would require a contractor to do that, right? Or are you saying that we pay DPW to do it?
Yeah, if he's waiting until next year because of the money in budget.
But DPW doesn't have the product, like the proper paint to.
And I'm just wondering if the holdup is just having monies available.
I can find out. I can ask him if that's an option so we can get it done, because I do think it's confusing for people that may not have been here ever.
You summarized it well. It doesn't take away anything.
Right,
Nothing is lost here.
correct.
I think with, I remember when we were at that area, talking about that, and we moved the handicap spot down to the new, where the new crosswalk would be.
No, we didn't, I don't think we moved the handicaps. There's a handicap spot, just.
At the end of the crosswalk.
Yeah, just out of the crosswalk. So it made sense that you have a handicap parking space. Now you have the curb
Okay, I
ramp
remember.
to get onto it. And in theory, we took away, a space here, but you gained the space where the existing crossing would be, so.
Right.
It's not like we lost any parking.
Right, there was that tree that was in front of the Opera House, which was an issue,
Yeah,
because they didn't want to cut the tree down to make the ramp as well.
yeah, to make the ramp perpendicular, which you generally want. We had the tree, I think there was a catch basin, some other infrastructure
Yeah.
that was a challenge.
Good, yeah.
Other ADA things happening, We have spoken a few times about the horrific, and I think you used the word ugly, sidewalks wrapped around that church on the corner of Sixth and Columbia.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, the church I talked about is Warren and Fourth. Fifth. The old Presbyterian church?
What,
Warren and Fifth?
we talked about both of them.
Okay.
And the other one, I'm sorry, is Columbia and Sixth? Yes, I have, yeah.
Yeah, right across
Yeah.
from where the farmer's market happens.
I don't think, yeah, yes, I have.
Yeah, and I know at some point I said, that stretch of sidewalk on Columbia should be in the Olympics because it's the worst and.
Yeah.
That is all been redone.
By,
That's being done by the church.
Yeah.
Because it really is their responsibility, just like everybody else's. I know that they've tried to get the board to do it. If they were, but I know that they have some opening happening, right? I think you mentioned at the last meeting. So there was a time crunch issue for them. They could have waited until, the board eventually gets around to that stretch of sidewalk, which it's one of the worst. So we would have gotten to it, but it was a time thing. So they've done it themselves. They did in front on Six and wrapping around on Columbia going down.
good for
And
them.
it looks beautiful. The forms are being put in there to like have it all set, if I'm saying the words correctly. And it should be all dried and ready to go, by Monday. There were some concerns about no parking on that street right there by the corner on the opposite side, and people weren't understanding why the no parking signs are still there. And I was instructed by Rob that happens because the forms actually go into the road before they're put into the cement, and you can't have cars on either side when that work is happening. So the no parking signs will also be going away next week early, once the sidewalks are dried and set and finished. Yeah, like Brian was saying, Dig Safe, we're still waiting on Seventh. It's not like Fosberg has just dropped the ball, as some people are claiming, and where are they? And, they're dilly-dallying. There are reasons why work is not happening in the locations. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I believe that is everything pertaining to ADA.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's move into new business. First thing is, I mentioned it last week informally. I've compiled this sort of overall explanation, roadmap. I have it on the agenda as a status report. It tries to tie everything together. So someone walking into this today and saying, what are my responsibilities? What is the background? Why am I having to be paying for the monies, and what are my rights around claiming for an exemption and such? So I put this all together, and if all is in agreement with it, it's just a minor update from last week. If we can just, unless you want to wait on next month, otherwise, if we can get a vote that we agree, we're going to put it online. Everyone in agreement, say yay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'll create a document, get it up there. Funding moving forward. I've just been taking forever pulling this together, but Ryan stepped in, and we've now provided that the monies that we've spent so far to Heather. And so by next month, we'll know exactly where we stand, and hopefully how the funding will be as we move forward. And that covers the next point as well, in terms of what's available to us, and therefore, what sort of scale and expectations we can have. And of course, it will tie in directly to our beginning to survey by wards. George, I've seen you out on the streets. You want to just give us I'm not looking, I don't have anything formal here. I've just started, but that's what we were looking for, so.
I mean, one of my questions is, the reason one of my questions that I was asking myself is, what what's our qualification gonna be? So that when we go out there, we go, oh yeah, that's a green, which means it's fine, or it's a, I used pink for trip hazards, and then I used orange for spalled concrete. It's basically safe, but it looks like that. It's probably hard to show. That's probably what I'd be seeking. But there's a couple of, I noticed a couple of things here in this town. There's a lot of, like you were talking about earlier before the meeting opened, the concrete lasts a long time. I've got a flag over on the property I'm working on, it's stamped 1928. The concrete's all beautiful, but it has something. And I think a lot of the problems that we get here is the fact that Hudson is essentially a clay spit. And so you really have to kind of over-excavate a little bit for your subbase. I know that's like, people on in the TV land are probably going subbase, putting it something, but you need to be able to support that concrete by its very nature will last quite a while, but I've noticed a lot of sinking concrete, a lot of federal work that was done over, by Bliss and other areas is,
What do you mean federal work?
well, I'm assuming that's a big assumption, Jerry. When I say federal work, I mean a lot of the work that was done, like say near Bliss houses and some of the other areas over in the second ward, there looks like it was all done at one time. And it's all, it's, this subbase was done right because there's no dropping of the slab below the curb, but it's all small, so that's telling me either two things, either they worked too hard and they're in a cement layer, or they're using too much salt, which I get it, you gotta, people need to be able to walk without falling, so salts are a basic enemy sometimes, but on a positive note, I saw a lot of improvements that have gone on in this town, especially at intersections where you went, oh yeah, this sidewalk's not so good behind me, but there's corner access, so people can get around fairly straightforwardly. Another thing I noticed was that we've got a lot of alleys where, the corner on opposite corners are fine, and then you come to a hard curve where it just drops, there's no break. I'm not used to living in a place where there's a lot of houses. And this town, it's a big, it's part of the fabric of the city. I mean, I've got their names and everything else. So I think, what am I trying to say? I think it's behooving, it behooves us to really think about our specs. What kind of subbase that we go in, how we work our concrete. Concrete's a tricky thing, it's like, can't work at it too fast and,
So are you suggesting that we should, qualify our criteria for concrete work moving forward?
I think, at least for the sake of, the four of us, the three of us, whoever are gonna go ward by ward and look, need to come to an agreement of like, oh yeah, this red mark means blah, and green mark
Our
means,
criteria,
and that way we can, because otherwise I'm gonna be, well, what does that mark mean, George? I don't know. I found myself putting little tiny notes everywhere,
well, that's it, and Tyler had covered this when we were discussing this very point. We'll need to be able to explain, and maybe we should discuss, I think, for me, and it's not black and white, but two different distinctions, is it non-ADA compliant? Trip hazard. Well, that's, bingo, and that's the one I think we'll probably be focusing on in any first phase, right? We're sort of looking at it. But to Ryan's point, there may be just one trip point, but there's three rows of squares where, it's not non-ADA compliant, but it needs to be done and it makes sense to do that.
And so another thing that I guess could be helpful to the board is, and you see this in other, and this is more of a higher agencies do this, they'll create almost like a visual guide. And maybe you could call it a conditions assessment where we could take a brand new sidewalk and say, all right, take a picture, that's a A. And you take something that's a little bit weathered, you call that a B, you work your way all the way down to like conditions, A through F or something like that. You do that for like the surface condition, cracking, spalling. You could make criteria for any of these items you're talking about, so that you're all looking at, you have an example to look at to, it's all right, is this closer to a B or a C, or the number, I think using 1, 2, and 3 before, you could say like, all right, this is looking like a 2, based on this picture, it looks just like it, that's something.
Something like that available online?
It could be, it depends on, I don't know if it's to the exact format you guys are talking about. I mean, there's probably a way that could be created pretty easily just by walking around the city, taking some photos, this is new, this is, easily done. If that's something the board would feel helpful,
Now that we're talking, I know in previous meetings, we were saying that we each, I think it was my idea that we each go out and use whatever ranking system that felt right for us, and then bring back our number ones, number twos, or number threes, or A, B, C, or green, purple, blue, and compare them. But maybe now that we're talking, maybe it would be easier if maybe our project manager, I don't know if this is something you could do, come up with like some sort of legend that we all have, and we use that when we're doing our walks.
The picture that you're talking about.
yeah, I mean, that's.
That'd be very.
Sorry to give you more work.
Yeah, and it also institutionalizes. Some of us may not be here next year. Right?
Like alive
On the board,
on the, that's,
on the board, I'm an elected official, I'm up for
I
reelection,
might not be here.
there you go. Okay, great, that would be fantastic. I'd like to bring up a new point. Well, it's building on what, Margaret Morris brought up a while back, is that this is gonna take a long time to get this done. And as we discuss this, I'll taking on this work and saying, hey, that's more expensive than the property owner doing it themselves. So is there a way we can motivate a property owner now to go out and do the work, which ultimately is at less of a cost than it would cost us? So therefore, we're motivated to motivate that person, and then we get it done faster. Are you following me?
Yeah, my instant thought to that is the fact that if they can show any recent work done within the last 10 years, they don't get charged the sidewalk tax that is implemented next year. That should be some motivation to do it, right?
Well, let's think about that.
So maybe try to educate them a little bit more.
Well, it doesn't work for them. So give me an average, sidewalk job, what the cost would be.
Well,
If a property owner
what
did
are
it
they saying,
themselves.
15?
So, and this is the difference, when the city hires the contractor, they have to pay prevailing wage.
Right.
So those labor costs are, operators are like $80, $82 an
Right.
hour, laborers in the 60s. A local contractor could be paying their workers that much, but it's usually not to that level. I'm not saying that a local contractor can't pay their guys a lot of money, but, I think the difference between public and private work when you get, public and private when you get into sidewalks, you're talking at least $5 to $6 a square foot of additional cost.
Right.
So it could be, I think the public works or the SID formula having $15 a square foot is like the cap. But I think that if you look at what the city would be paying for a contractor to go in and do it, it's upwards of $20 to $23.
But you know, I've found just from personal experience, because I've got, it's a 3-year story. So I'll go into it, but I have to purchase a piece of property in the city, I had to agree to put in new concrete. And so I've had to go through these rows. And yeah, the cost of concrete to get a mason to set forms and to do the work is about $15 a square. $14.90, somewhere around there. But I've got to also pay to have it excavated. So I've got to take out the old sidewalk, break and take out the shitty subgrade, take out the not so great subgrade and bring in new subgrade. So I'm starting to approach that, $5 more a square foot. That, that's, yes, city prevailing wage is expensive, but they're working at a much better, bigger economy of scale than, say, a small contractor who's,
That is always the benefit to doing work is the scale. The more you can do, the better you can get on price. And then as well as the larger the project, the contractor can do an entire street for a price. But if you broke that street up into, let's just pick 20-foot sections, the 20-foot sections would cost a lot more because you're not guaranteed the work and you're also showing up, doing this piece, showing up and doing this piece. So, I mean, unless there's a way to incentivize it through other work that we're already doing, the board is already deciding to do. I mean, the big one is gonna be the $1 million CDBG. That would be a huge help to, repairing a lot of sidewalks, so.
So we offer an exemption or credit for 10 years. Would it make sense and motivate property owners if we extended that to 15 years?
Or if we don't go back to the date that they did the work. Am I saying that right?
I mean, from now,
Today,
Yes, so if they were to do the work today, they would get 10 years, correct?
If you did it 5 years ago, today it'd still be 10 years. Is that what you're saying?
10 years across the board. Does that help? Is that an incentive?
to do more now, probably not.
really, it's expensive.
Well, yeah, actually, because if they did it 9 years ago, let's say, they're only gonna get 1 year. of
1 year
credit.
left.
So that won't make sense. Unless we extended it for people that decide to do it.
Moving forward right
Yes.
now, we want to motivate you to do it. It's helping, achieve what we all want, is a more friendly, ADA compliant, safe, city. We've all been complaining. We're gonna up your motivation, and here's the equation.
I would be comfortable with an additional 5 years of credit.
Would that be a situation where you may want to put a clause to it that as long as the DPW deems it still the ADA compliant? It could be up to 15 years, and that after that additional 5 years require like an inspection of someone to say, yeah, still looks good. Everything is, because you were bringing up the finish work on some sidewalks that, that's the other challenge. When a homeowner is hiring a contractor, you trust all contractors to do a good job, but there's always variants.
Well, yeah, I mean, any of the sidewalk work that they do would have to be completely approved by.
Just as we're doing now, they have to apply for an exemption,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
But we would also have to, I'm sorry, Jeff, we would also have to review it before the work. Or do we just say, hey, any work moving forward?
right, because it's gonna be dated, the invoice and everything, just like.
It'll be dated, but do we just want to motivate non-ADA compliant issues? I guess,
That's the question. You have to decide what is too bad. In other words, this kind of goes to, I'd love to have a conversation with Crystal Pett to find out how much does the city of Hudson take the liability that's from tripping balls? Maybe she can help guide us in like, it's because of this condition or that condition. And maybe that gives us some direction to focus on.
Well, we could certainly invite her to the next meeting, right? And discuss these
Sure.
things and we can come up with just to make it convenient, so it's not a different, time out of when we normally meet, so we can, anything we have to ask, I think, and then we can talk about how do we, because the law will have to be changed, right? That's gonna have to be some sort of addendum on the sidewalk law. If we do implement an extra 5 years, it's gonna have to be written.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be in.
And yes, you're right, Crystal can provide us his perspective of are the most liable situation. And that should be factored in, obviously, in our decision.
Well, and that might help us to be able to inform the public, to give them an incentive that like, look, if Mrs. Jones trips and falls and chips her tooth on your sidewalk, it's gonna cost you X. Or it may,
That's gonna invite nothing but criticism. Good luck with that, George.
I guess what another piece, another option would be to increase the amount per square foot. So right now it's $15 per square foot. Would it be, to George's point, the cost of doing work is small enough, everyone knows that. So maybe 15 gets bumped up to 18 or 20, and that becomes, if someone was to repair their sidewalk and they weren't able to recover that cost in that 10-year, 15-year period, in credit. Because we saw that on a lot of them where someone did $40,000 worth of work, but their credit amount was in hundreds of dollars or
Right.
something like that. So
And that's why the only way you can do this, you don't wanna be increasing to decrease.
Right.
You know what
I
I'm
see,
saying?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
You don't wanna take away the benefit of the
The only
sidewalk
thing-
tax.
So a credit is $100. Over 10 years, we're talking $1,000. Is that right? Okay, and this is gonna cost me 15,000.
right, there's no real incentive for like a ownership to replace your sidewalk. When they can just say, I'll pay you
I'll
to
wait.
kitty and.
Okay, I'm in the queue. It's your life, not me.
Well, other than if somebody does trip and fall on that person's sidewalk, they are responsible.
No,
They are. The city's not responsible for that.
yes, they are.
No, they're not.
I would,
That's what I want to find out.
I wish that's the case, but
They sue all the time and they don't win those cases. The city's not responsible because it is the property owner's responsibility to take care of their sidewalks. And if somebody gets hurt,
the SID law took over. The city takes over that responsibility. And we need
Yeah,
to
we-
verify this.
yeah, we-
I don't have, I might have it.
I,
I don't wanna do that now,
Yeah,
but yeah, this is highly, I'm sorry.
Those are crystal clear questions.
No, well, yes, we can go to her, but it's very clear in the law.
well, not obviously. Because.
Well, no, I'm sorry, I'm not taking away from,
No.
but no, I'll be able to point it out to, but listen, there's parts of that law that I'm still grappling. with.
Yeah, I thought it was, if it's the sidewalk in front of the person's home, that person is responsible if somebody falls. If it's a sidewalk that doesn't belong to a property owner anywhere else in the city, yes, if somebody falls, then the city would be responsible.
Yeah.
So there's two different things at play. That's the way I've always looked at that law. Maybe I missed a part of it, so we'll just have to go over that.
Yeah, and again, I'll throw something out just for consideration, rather than throwing darts at the wall here. It would be nice, like in my situation where I have to pay an excavator who's separate from my concrete guy. The concrete guy just wants to show up, set the forms in, and call a concrete plant, and that's it. And if the city could offer homeowners some kind of excavation, that's like $5 a square foot.
They hold all the time.
What's that?
The city, they hold all the time, but they can
I mean, look, that gets complicated and it's like, I'm sure Rob Jerry's like. Yeah, but that's a way to try to get the cost down for the local homeowner.
Well, we're certainly throwing out a lot of different ideas, so we're not short of ideas, and there's a lot. There's a lot more possibilities to this than I had previously thought of how to,
Can I throw out one more?
Yeah.
And I got this when I was walking along Water Street. And I was looking at those two big plane trees that are 6 or 7, or first or second. And, you know, uplift from the tree roots, because again, it's a big wildlife force flag.
Yes.
And I was remembering, I instantly remembered that when my wife and I were traveling in Europe in Scotland, how Europe generally uses asphalt around trees instead of concrete because it's smooth and the trees can grow. Whereas here, we're like, oh, asphalt on my sidewalk, fine. But, you know, that might be something for us to think about because those trip hazards, those are the big deal. People are looking at the windows and they, you know,
That's on Warren between, Front and First.
that's.
And big trees, and the damn thing is that concrete slab has not broken up. It's, you know, and I mean, talk about solid, you know, and it's just lifted up, you know,
That's right.
so, yeah.
So I'm just throwing that out again for people to, let's think of some different strategies, or even soft surfaces, but we get too much snow for soft surfaces.
well, I think it's important to say too in these meetings that we invite ideas from the public. I mean,
Throwing it.
I
That's
would love for people to email, you can email sidewalks@cityofhudson.org or any one of us to be a part of the conversation.
Go
Come to
to
the
our,
meetings,
go
sit
to
here.
our website
Yeah,
on City Hall.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of good information there, and our information as well.
I do have that.
You
other-
have some
Yeah.
invoices here, go ahead and bring it up.
So, as you guys know, we are, we did apply for the CDBG, sidewalk ADA, compliance overall sidewalk improvement grant, which is for $1 million. So there was a question in the beginning. Do we pay LaBerge, who is our grant writer, do we pay them out of the mayor's budget for grant writing services? Because the mayor's office hired them as our overall grant writer, or as Ryan and I were talking in the beginning, should we be paying them for the work that they're specifically doing for sidewalk grant? Should that be coming out of our sidewalk budget? Public Works Board budget, sidewalk improvement district budget? I made the call in the beginning that it should, I guess, go out of the mayor's budget, which was not the right call. We have a very limited budget. We hired them for $30,000. The sidewalk grant that LaBerge is writing for us is $12,000 total. So there wipes away the whole mayor's overall budget. So the mayor decided, he wasn't aware that I made that call, I don't think. But, he said, no, that should, you know, the sidewalks, anything being written or done for the sidewalks should be coming out of the Public Works Board budget. So I do have 2 invoices here. One is from August where LaBerge, as they have always done, any kind of grant writing invoices that happen, they just lump them all together. And the first invoice was for $1,200, and that amount was specific to the sidewalk grant. So I had them break that out, and I explained all this to them. So we have one invoice for $1,200, and then we have a new invoice for September for $2,000. So the total that we need to approve to come out of our budget for right now is a total of $3,200. And by the end of the year, it will add up to $12,000. But these 2 invoices are $1,200 and $2,000. So I don't know, Gary, do you have to be the one to ask the board to approve?
A motion to approve. Second, all in favor of it, say aye. Aye.
The other part of this equation is, I was speaking to Heather about this. And she said that a resolution would need to be, written, brought before the common council, because it needs to be specified that $500,000 that we have in our budget was for actual sidewalk work. Right? It's not, it was never earmarked to include any grant writing. So the resolution states that, it authorizes a budget amendment for the Public Works Board to use a portion of its budget to pay for grant writing services. Right? And I have the amount of $12,000. So this will be presented for the council, their next meeting. Hopefully it's approved, and then these two invoices that we just approved can be paid after they approve. So just wanted to put that on.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Is there any other new business from the board? Okay, let's open it. Is there any questions or comments from the public?
Did a nice job on Columbian Six.
You know, Fosberg is, you know, quality work. They
A
deliver.
nice job.
Yeah.
Any questions?
But thank you for that. Yeah, it's good to hear that. Right?
Yeah, Joey.
Doesn't look like there's any questions.
Is there anyone online?
Yeah. We have Linda, we have Ronald Kopnicki, and we have gossips.
All right.
I guess maybe I should throw out the date of our next meeting, November 6th.
It's the, you know, it's formula, right?
After the election.
Yes. Is that election?
Yeah, the election day is November 4th, so that's on a Tuesday, so
then we're always on a Thursday.
that Thursday will be November 6th we meet.
So, November 6th. At 5:30.
Yep.
A motion to adjourn. We have the first, we have a second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. I thank you all, for joining us. Thank you, everyone.
But on the radio with Tom.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
good for you.
The mother